Hi, everyone, and hi, Mr. Bob.
G'day.
Great, great guy. Welcome, everybody. And today we have Friday, November 15th in US and Europe, and Saturday, November 16th in Australia. And you are watching Bob Eden, the Spiritual Mechanic Show with host Bob and Ann. And today we are going to talk about something we both love. God is not stupid. Isn't that a brilliant topic?
Well, I hope so.
Our last show on Cosmic Guardians was Cosmic Sisters past Wednesday. Yeah, just a couple of days ago. We had a special guest, Adelina from Sweden, and we talked about astrology. That was also a very nice show. I like that. I see that as a great tool. Everything is tools, right? But it's not that we need to dig into everything. We find our way, which way is going to help us find the core within, because that is what matters. Last show on Bob Eden, the Spiritual Mechanic Show, was last Friday, and we talked about the opposite direction. So if you missed that show, you can find that past episode and the other past episodes, and you can connect with us, read more about us, figure out where you can reach out to Bob at angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic guardians and angelplaceonearth.com/upcoming dash. I learned the word dash cast. We always go live at facebook.com/cosmic guardians and youtube.com/at angel place on earth. So we are live. I love to say that. So let's dive into today's topic.
I'm not sure precisely what percentage I am alive at the moment. I mean, yeah, uh, but I'm but I'm here, and I know that during the course of this discussion, my energy levels will raise because it's just part of the magic of sharing. I always find sharing uplifting, so yeah, it's a good way to boost energy. So, and for all you beautiful people out there, my big thanks to Anne because she does all the hard work and the legwork and writes beautiful notes and show notes and stuff. And all I do is turn up and share my stories. So I feel a
But you
bit
know
like,
that don't diminish that because that is a big part too. Otherwise, I would be sitting here talking to myself and the audience, right? So
yeah, yeah.
we
Well,
all have something to share, and I think you have you are a gold mine of information.
right. So I just fold back into this and ponder. God is not stupid. Uh, and go back to
We
the
have
picture.
we have
Picture.
someone here actually. So we have Jeffrey Rex Road. Wonderful. Hi,
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
Great.
Welcome.
Okay. Well, I'll pick up the talking stick now. Um,
Yes, please.
and uh, God is not stupid. Um, so here am I, kicking back, pondering on life, and I'm just looking at Earth, Gaia, Mother Earth, our home, and I take my awareness out into space, and then look back at this beautiful little blue and misty, cloudy pearl that is unique in the whole of the universe, and like all the trillions of other little islands are floating around in this majestic creation that we're blessed to be a part of. And then I come back, and as I approach the earth, I see all, I go through the troposphere and start breathing the air, and look, this is magic. That there's air that we can breathe, and look at all these different creatures, thousands and thousands of different species and plants and microbes and dolphins and us, all all living together in harmony, and each and every one of those elements is part of God's creation or source's creation. Skipper, you stop it. He's he's chewing a plastic box. So yeah, and I'm just sitting there amazed and gobsmacked that I am part of this. I am part of God's creation. And I don't like using the word God because it has, I just get pictures of some old white bearded old fella sitting in the clouds saying, if you don't follow my commandments, you'll spend eternity in hell. But we love you, and please give us some money. So I don't like the word using the word God, but I'm just part of this creation, and it's amazing. And drawing from the book of mythology, the Bible, um, God created man in His own image, and then I look at the way uh, we're living, and it was right like in the show notes talking about the divine path. Our whole culture seems to be based on making decisions based on fear.
Someone is having fun. Sorry, sorry,
Yeah,
behind you.
yeah, Skipper.
He's,
That's all
he,
right. I'll let
yeah.
him play. I'll let him play. It's just adding joy to the world. So yeah. So in my own journey, I came across this realization um, when faced with this prostate cancer that I did a lot of research, and from I already knew Mum. She, when I was 16, she had a colostomy, so she had her insides carved up, and then when I was in hospital a few months ago, I was in a ward waiting for a particular scan or something. But there were these uh, male patients coming out, and they just had these operations, and there were bits of their intestine hanging out, and I thought, well, this is not the divine plan. This is not God's way. You know, it. What? How? How have we come down this path whereby we believe that by cutting pieces out of the wonderful God's creation that I am or they are, how can that be part of God's plan? You know.
I don't think it is, to be honest, because
Oh,
it's not.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
trying to
like
make.
calling the universe stupid, and the universe is not stupid either, right?
Yeah, but when I look back to that image of this beautiful blue and misty pearl, there's everything on the planet for all of us to thrive. Anything we need to eat and sustain, and also grow and heal. Um, and it's all there. It's the natural remedies are there,
Yeah.
but also, and that was the decision I made um, when I realised that I'd created this prostate cancer in my life, and so all right, I got a critic now. He's grumbling. Yeah, and I just asked myself this question. I've created this event in my life. Why? What's the lesson I need to learn? And the universe replied straight away. It said to me, Bob, it's time for you to put up or shut up. Uh, you either fold back into your old programming and go under the Western medical model knife and have bits cut out of you, or you walk your talk and find natural remedies. And so that's what I did. And another example from my own life was all the pain of my 20-year dance with depression was just a wake up signal, because my depression wasn't a mental illness like all so called mental illness. It was a soul wound, but it was by following my heart that I found my solution. And there's so many examples in life, just detailing or outlining how our society is going totally in the opposite direction. Following on
Yeah.
from last week's show, one, yeah, I'll say it. This is just my conclusion and my observation from my life's journey and counseling people and working with groups, and also going back to the old chestnut. All you need is love. You know, um, at the moment there are so many things that are destroying. How can I put it? Destroying our sense of who we are as individuals. I'll, I'll talk about LGBTQ. All these. Uh, I identify as a, blah blah blah. Keep it simple, sovereign. You know, God created Adam and Eve. End of story. Full stop. Period. And that's it. You know.
Yeah.
And from the work I've done, especially the inner child work, it really outlined and showed me where most of the major life decisions that people take are formed at that time. And so I just proposed this simple solution that, if there's a young girl child in a family, and if she is terrified by a significant male, be it dad or uncle, or that she learns a lesson. Oh, yeah, men are dangerous. Men are dangerous, and so and that becomes, as all my programming did, became part of how my modus operandi of how I behaved as an adult. So when that little girl grows up, she's got this innate fear of men, and so her only choice left is to either get a dog or get into a relationship with another woman. And the
Yeah.
same goes for a little boy who's terrorized by a significant female. For me, it was my mum. Why I didn't end up being gay, I do not know. I tried it once, but didn't like it. But see, so all these people in this global LGBT, I challenge them. Have you made your choice from fear or love? Because I would suspect that the vast majority have chosen their, their inclination, if you like,
Yeah.
from a place of fear. And it's
You know,
against God's
yeah.
plan. It's against the divine plan, because man, woman, what's their job? Procreate, keep the species alive.
Yeah. Exactly. And
They're,
I always say I don't have a trouble. I know many people who are gay in some way or another, right? It's their choice. But we have two genders, in my opinion, and then we have um, sexual preference, right? That's something different. So people can go and do whatever they want. It's up to them. But here's the thing for me. Stating that you are something like I can't even say what you say, the LQ. I can't state it because I'm not used to using that combination of letters, right? But it's something you seek as a group. You belong to something, and you think that that is something that you need to be happy. But again, happiness is not out there. Happiness is coming from within, right?
oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's our society values are all like twisted. Like, you can go and watch a blockbuster movie where a million people, you know, get chainsawed and massacred and blown up, and that's okay. But you try and watch, but and that that's what sells uh, movies. But you try and watch a nice romantic love story, and there's they don't allow nudity. They don't support um, the sharing the beautiful experience of making love to somebody you're in love with. You
Yeah,
know, that's all.
exactly.
No, you can't do that. That's porn. But what's I think you know. cutting somebody's head off with a chainsaw is porn, but those values are, you know, are pushed out there, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
wrong. Yeah,
it is wrong. And, so many things are going on in this world. And once we start to open our eyes and we see it, we can't unsee, first of all. But it's a part of the awakening, because when we are born into this um, society, wherever we are, because basically it's the same. Maybe the symptoms are a little bit different in different countries, but no matter where we come from, there are conventions, there are written and unwritten rules. We are supposed to do what everybody else is doing, like being this, right? And that's not going to bring happiness to anyone, is it?
but yeah, you can salute me because I am a captain.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I don't even know if I do that correctly. They say I do it. I don't know. Should you have your hand differently, maybe? Anyway, but if we go and think about the universe, it's really, as you say, God is not stupid. The universe is not stupid. The universe follows a rhythm, and we have that rhythm within. And by the way, the universe and God and the divine or source or whatever we want to call it is a part of us in here, our very core.
yeah, and my mission to eradicate suicide for me, every description that we're aware of, and I hate using the collective we in our society, that gets called a mental illness, whether it's depression or ADHD or that, is just a desperate plea from the soul of that person to get back on the divine path, to get back and follow what, to become a thriver and not a victim or just a survivor. That's why I say there's no such thing as mental illness. It's just your innate inner knowing, just saying, okay, you've got to stop living your socio cultural conditioning for a start. Like every country has got its own traditions and blah blah. And the British are known for their stiff upper lip. The Americans are known for speaking while chewing their food, and
All
you
of
know,
that good stuff.
yeah, you know what I mean. So that was one of the stages I went through after healing the wounds of my childhood, was deprogramming myself from cultural conditioning. And one of the guiding lights is, I'm proudly Australian, but I'm even more proud to be an Earthling.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
yeah,
Because we
yeah,
are all earthlings as long as we're here, aren't we?
yeah, yeah. And when I look from space to those beautiful blue and misty pearl, I don't see any walls. I don't see any boundaries. I don't see any barriers. Ah, and it's crazy that talking about societies making decisions based on fear. Um, when was the last time foreign troops put their feet on the soil of America, North America? You know, I can't, it's it's bloody hundreds of years ago, and yet the poor American taxpayer uh, has to fund over 700 military bases in over 130 countries
Mm.
to prevent America being invaded, and yet they've invaded 134 other countries with their military bases. Now, this is cognitive dissonance gone exponential, and it's just bloody ridiculous. And
It is.
again, that that gesture all came from, oh, fear. We can't let any. We're going to stop everybody and give them democracy, but their democracy.
Yeah. You know, Of course, there are going to be different opinions about that, but I heard so many people say that that's not what we really want. But we are forced to just accept that until maybe they come to the point when they start saying no, because it is not correct, is it? And people are going to be injured. People are going to die. For what reason, right?
Yeah, and it's all part. I don't know who's behind the curtain pulling the strings. You know, you got the New World Order or the Anunnaki or blah. You know, there's it's a spiritual war. So there's a spiritual satanic energy out there that's doing its very best, and its major tool is fear and divide and conquer.
Yeah,
But the beautiful thing about what's happening to humanity at the moment, as we are entering fully into the age of integrity, more and more people are waking up and realizing that the pain they're carrying is just the pain of not living their truth, living this corruption. And more
yeah,
people are saying no. And
yeah,
so that's why I'm glad to be alive to witness this ascension of humanity, because our ascension is inevitable. We've won, you know. Um, the skeletons are out of the closet, um, and the beast is just. You can watch what's going on in the world. More and more things are becoming ridiculous. You know, there's more
yeah,
ridiculous things out there like hate speech and banning any speech that goes counter to government policy or something. And they're making laws about this, you know. But it's
yeah,
just the beast is becoming more frantic because it
yeah,
knows its day is over. So for me, the
yeah,
best thing to do is grab the popcorn, kick back, and enjoy the show.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because a part of why the world is crazy is because things are coming up, right? And a lot of energy in motion and wanting or not wanting to see, we can't just avoid to see anymore, and that's good. It doesn't feel comfortable. It can feel extremely uncomfortable, but we need to see so we can choose, make choices, right? So we can say, no, I'm not going to follow that again, ever. I'm going to take this route, right?
Mm. Yeah, and I love that line, that phrase in the hero's journey, where the you know the hero of the story is running across the grassy plains, and there's a woodland ahead of him, and he gets there to this thick undergrowth, and there's a path beaten through, and he's looking at it, thinks, "Oh, it'd be easy to go that way," but that's not the hero's journey. He has to get out his machete and carve his own way through the forest, you know,
Yeah,
and that that's the purpose for everybody. I believe, you know,
yeah,
is to carve your own path
yeah,
and yeah, find your own truth and realize that your truth is only applicable to you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Do you think that sometimes maybe because every one of us have strong senses or sensations or urges or whatever you call it coming from our soul? So when we do create life events that are a little bit challenging, the purpose behind them are for us to actually awaken and start to see. Because to be honest with you, as human beings, many times we are very convenient, right? So if we are not facing something that we could label the opposite from what we expect, right? Something that we also may label as a challenge, maybe we wouldn't be willing to awaken.
yeah. Yeah, well, I know it was fear that kept me dancing with depression for 20 years, fear and antidepressants. Um, and it was a fear of my feelings. Now, that's like an oxymoron, or in its own way, because feelings, come from my soul, my innerness, and but the feelings that I'm having when I had my first panic attack, they were just so overwhelming, so powerful. I just didn't know what to do with them because I had no background, and society said, "Bloke, you can't have feelings. You're a bloke."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And so I chose to stay in this numbed out, medicated fashion simply because I was afraid of the feelings I was having. Until I realized that the power of those feelings was simply a measure of how powerful I am as a
Mm,
human being.
yeah,
And
exactly.
and people spend their life medicating, running away from their demons. But they're like their demons are messengers from God, if you like. You know, come here, here I am, look at me, acknowledge me,
Yeah,
deal with me. I am part of you that needs healing. So come
yeah,
on, here I am. You can see me now. Let's do the healing. Instead of no, it's just too hard. I'm going down the pub. You know, yeah, or I'm going to go on a shopping spree, or whatever other addiction people use to
yeah,
medicate the pain and avoid doing the work.
yeah. Because when we are avoiding seeing ourselves, we use distractions of all kinds. Anything goes, as long as we don't have to look within, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people fear, and I heard this a lot. They fear, they think that if I'm going to look within and I'm going to have a really close look at what's going on, I just stay in the moment. I've done that too, but way back. But the way through it is to actually grab the bull by the horns and to actually see. Sometimes, if we feel confused, we can just say that, okay, I take this time, I have a look, I don't like it, but I do accept that this is where I am right now. And that is one step to move forward. Because if we are in avoidance and if we use distractions, any kind of distraction, that's going to keep us in the loop. It's
Well,
simple.
I think one of the biggest fears in society that probably just about everybody holds is the fear of losing control.
Yeah,
Yeah. But for me, that is a divine process. By losing control, you're losing control of your conditioning, uh, and then diving straight into living from your heart. Does that make sense? Like,
it makes full sense.
yeah, yeah. So it's the fear of feelings, and it's like, God gave me these feelings, and I experience my life through my
Yeah,
feelings, my senses. I feel the warmth of the sun on my skin. I hear the raucous laughter of the kookaburras. I can taste the bitter tang of my coffee. Smell the sweet smell of the rotting mangoes. So I experience this life through my senses, and I feel the world. I feel, therefore I am. Descartes was just totally wrong. I think, therefore I am. And again, he was held up as an icon, and has got a global following, but the guy was totally in the opposite direction.
yeah,
It's funny how these
exactly.
shows are starting to link, isn't it? They come back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing.
it
We
is
must
amazing.
we must be doing something right, Anne.
I think
Join,
we actually do.
yeah, I think it's just a process of joining the dots. Um,
And the, sorry, go ahead. I
that,
just wanted to chime in. Okay. So society today is more teaching us that we are to keep track of our past and to live in our past and bring it in all the time, right? But here's the thing, the past cannot affect us unless we invite it, but we do that all the time, right? Until we heal it. We have this moment. but we are very rarely, I'm not speaking about the two of us, we are very rarely staying in the moment. If we are not worrying about the past, we are worrying about the future because we want to have control what's going to come in the future. But here's the thing, we create our future from this moment. So we are not victims. It's not written in stone. And that gives us also the power back that we have to be creators of our lives, right?
Yeah, some Indian Swami or guru, or I can't remember his name, was talking about quantum physics and how about living in the moment, living in the now. Every new moment contains 20 times more possibilities than the previous moment. And so that's, that's just like an exponential growth curve. But it just shows that, choices, you've got so many choices. There's all these possibilities out here. But,
Yeah.
and I can notice them all, be aware of them all. But the ones that bring into my life are the ones that I give my attention and intention to, and they
Yes,
become part of my life. So,
exactly.
yeah. God, where do I get all this stuff from, man? That's,
I think you have a connection. That's where they are coming into you. You are the messenger, right?
yeah, but it amazes me. I'm just a simple bloke, a fitter turner. And for me, that you got all these Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle and Wayne Dyer and all these sort of so-called gurus, and for me, like they're spiritual parasites. That's going to upset a lot of people because, okay, take Eckhart Tolle. He's got an amazing connection to what I call the Akashic records, or the universal library, and I would have a great deal of respect for the man if he just offered his insights to people and said, if this is a value uh, to you, what I'm sharing, please make a donation, But for them now, there's a whole industry of people saying, like, I've got all your answers, but for me to show up and put on a presentation in your city is going to cost you $50,000 or whatever, they're charging for their services. And for me, that's another corruption within this
Mm.
awakening movement, is that my connection to source is a gift from God, and if I can get there, anybody can. But it means going within, being quiet, listening to the heart, getting to that place of inner knowing and making that connection. And then the downloads just happen. It's the universe is so generous.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's only fear that shuts the door.
I think
Well,
that this world today, because we are supposed to be so modern and forward, um, but we are doing it in a very, how could I say, a way that is, this is what you should do. You should follow these things. If you can't touch it with your hands, it's not real. So we are not really being taught this, you know, for generations.
yeah, well, part of the activity of this satanic war is the destruction of community. We no longer live in communities that support each other. In a lot of instances, we live in communities and society where we compete with each other. And I watched an absolutely beautiful documentary about a little village somewhere in Russia, I think, or it was cold anyway, really, really cold. It gets down to about minus 60 degrees centigrade or something. And the place was called
Yeah.
Yakutia, Yakutia, and the lifestyle they had. they're living off the land, supporting each other. There were no police, there were no crime, um, and basic. There was no external government influence on the way they lived. They just chose to live in harmony and helping each other. And I thought, well, what a role model. And
Yeah,
and the tribal people have been doing it for thousands of years, living in communities and living off the land and nurturing the land. And this thing, going back to Mother Earth or Gaia, she's smart. She is so smart, and she's for billions of years she's looked after herself, and for billions of years we've had climate change and this bullshit now about global warming and da 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 da, and the CO2 levels are rising. Well, of course the CO2 levels are rising. Look what they're doing to the Amazon rainforest. Chopping it down to grow seed oils or raise cattle for hamburgers. The Amazon is like the lungs of the world. And so all the scientists are saying, well, we can build these machines that will take the CO2 out and blah, blah, blah. You don't need bloody machines. Just plant more trees. That's what they do. That's what God put them on the earth for. And in geographical times, uh, the earth has experienced CO2 levels many, many times than what we're experiencing now, and is always led to a greener planet, a more tropical planet. The tropical regions expand. You know,
yeah,
so we don't need science to solve the problem. We need common sense. You know,
yeah.
stop
You know,
chopping down the trees.
Greg Braden, you heard about him, right? Of course you
Yeah.
have. Uh, he has a great video. He calls it climate hysteria or something of that nature. Um, I can't really state everything he says in that video, but that's brilliant because the Earth also by itself, for such a long time, as long as it has been existing, has its own um, change going on. We had the ice times, right? We had other times. It's changing also by itself. So I think that a big part, now I'm going to stick my nose out, a big part of what they are saying, they are treating things badly. I don't say that. We are doing bad things to the earth, but we forget. And it has become some sort of, you know, it's money behind because we want to earn money. I don't mean you and I, but companies and things of that nature. It has become industries all over the place that
Mm,
are wanting to have their say. But he's a scientist as a basic thing, and I like that video, Climate Hysteria,
yeah.
on YouTube, if anyone wants to look.
Well, money. There was a form of currency called the tally stick that lasted in Europe for about 700 years, and there was no money. For me, that our basic currency is my sweat equity. You know, um, an hour of my time is worth the same as an hour of your time. Doesn't matter what you do, and which is why I like Michael Tellinger's initiative about the one small town thing, about people getting together and working um, so many hours a week. I think 5 or 10 hours a week for the community, and the rest of the time's their own. But getting back to community and getting rid of exterior controls is the way to go.
Yeah.
Um, and hopefully it'll start happening. It will happen. It'll all change overnight, and tomorrow we'll be living in utopia.
That would be a bliss, wouldn't it? But that's not happening that way. But you
Yeah,
know,
what I find amazing is in the lifespan of Gaia or Mother Earth. I don't Was it 3 billion, 4 billion, 5 billion years old? There has been many other alpha species on the planet.
yeah,
You know, like going back to the last ones, probably the Atlanteans. Before that, there's somebody, I don't know where this number came from, but it's something like 200,000 instances of a civilization growing, thriving, and then destroying itself. Bang, and then there's you know a quiet time as the Earth recovers and another species comes up. So um, it's I feel quite safe in saying we're not the smartest species that has occupied this planet.
No, we're not.
No, no. And we're finding that out now by rediscovering the wisdom of the earlier peoples. Like
Yeah.
the Egyptians were healing with sound, you know. Yeah. Oh, it's I'm just it's an amazing time to be alive. There's so much good stuff coming out. Yeah.
It is an amazing time, and I think a lot of us actually signed up to come here this time, even if it's sometimes very challenging. But it's a bliss, right?
Yeah. Uh, every step I've ever taken, however painful, and I've faced my own death probably about a dozen times. So every step I've ever taken, however painful, has brought me here to contentment. And
Yeah.
I know that this evening I'll probably be dreading trying to get to sleep because that's when the pain starts. But I know it's part of a lesson that I need to learn. You know, this pain has given me the energy to discover the right treatments for me. And again, this arrogance of the scientific community, natural healing. You know, our forebears knew for thousands of years through experimentation that if you take this root and grind it up, it cures this, that, and the other. You know, and then the scientific community have gone and they've taken the knowledge of the elder people and said, well, this plant, let's get it under the microscope. Let's this is the secret molecule within this plant. That's the the one that does the work, the one that does the curing. But and so they synthesize that molecule, but then that's just a molecule. It might as well be a little rock or something. No, no, it didn't exist in nature, so they created it. But they're missing the point because that herb, it may have had that major actor in it, but it was supported by all the other molecules in that plant, and also that plant had a connection to Earth and
Yeah.
every other plant on the
Yeah.
planet, and also every other creature on the planet through the water and the oceans. So
Yeah.
there's no energetic connection in any modern medicine, any pharmaceutical. There's no energetic connection to spirit, to God, to Gaia. They're just forever
I,
forever
I, I,
toxins.
yeah, I have something funny to tell you because I actually went to the pharmacy today and I was seeing all these shelves. Now they started, so you have a certain box of vitamins for your eyes. They had something called blue eyes, and I didn't even turn around to read it because I was just blown away. And you had this and that, and I don't know how many, because the food we eat don't are most often not natural any longer, right? And food contains energy. It has everything we need, basically, if we eat the proper food. But we change our way of eating. So we need to put in 100 pills of supplements each and every day. And that's crazy too, isn't it?
Yeah, well, again, it's when
Yeah,
for me
I
it's so
know.
obvious. It's so obvious. When did cancers kick off? You know, when did obesity kick off? When did suicide kick off? And just from my own lifetime, it seems that all of these things, like when I was at school, there were no fat kids. You know, so this is this is this escalation in corruption for me began in the 50s and has just gone exponential since then. And so, what significant event could have triggered all this pain in our society? You know, the cancers and obesity and mental illness and all that sort of stuff. What was the significant change? And it was simply processed foods and the global distribution, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you go back even further, before 1920, heart attacks were very, very rare. But by 1928, they started to become a thing. And since then, again, heart attacks have gone exponential and they're just accepted as part of life. And there's the Western medical model can come in and shove stents in. But the change that was made back then, again, was diet. And it was during those sort of the 1920s that people stopped cooking with natural fats, with animal fats, and were convinced that eating, you know, cooking with corn oils and seed oils was the way to go. But it's, it's not. It's not. It's not natural. You know, like like margarine is one molecule away from being plastic. It was it was developed to fatten up turkeys originally, but the turkeys wouldn't eat it. So we we must be dumber than turkeys because you know wherever you go, spread it on margarine, 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 and this idea in society that germs are bad for us. You know, oh, you got to get this bleach; it kills all household germs. Well, without germs, my immune system's got nothing to, you know,
To
to
do.
exercise against. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and germs are
And
part of creation. You know, like all God's creatures have got a place in the choir. Even Skipper with his chewing drops. He's
he's
having a
having a
great,
bliss.
yeah, he's having a great time down there. Ah, but once
No,
again,
when we start to talk about these things, it's deeply profound and very interesting indeed, because everything is like having money behind it, right? So we are steered into certain ways that we are supposed to live. And something here as well in Sweden, and in many other countries, probably the same, right? But I can talk for Sweden. It's not exactly the same in Greece yet, but they are heading this way too. So you have kids, right? But you can't pick and choose if you're going to raise them for yourself, or um, you probably want to put them in daycare because both mom and dad needs to work, and grandma and grandpa don't have time anymore either. So it's a part of a system that's going to keep everybody kind of separated, and that it's a question mark for me, right?
yeah, well, that intentional operation of using fear, the fear of losing their jobs and their income, that forces parents to abandon their children and hand them over to the state, that is a fundamental cause of distress in our society because just about every family I can envisage in Western society does that. Whereas
Yeah,
in tribal villages, the kids never get abandoned. You know, they're always nurtured by their parents or their cousins or by the community. But in our society, it's for people to pay the mortgage, you know, and they must be crazy. They're abandoning their children to the state. And that wound is the most common wound, I think, in our society. And a wounded
yeah,
child grows up to be a wounded adult, which is great because it fits into their system. Yeah,
yeah.
God, they're sneaky
It
bastards, aren't they?
Yeah,
Really,
it's really crazy to me because it should be if I'm having a kid, it means I'm bringing a life into the world, right? And that's a responsibility and that's love and that's everything. So why wouldn't I want to raise my child? But we are told, especially as women, I saw something on Facebook the other day, maybe a week ago, that as a woman, you're supposed to have it all because you're forced to do it all. So there was a picture of a mom sitting with a child. The child had a cell phone, a 1 year old or 2 year old, and mom was doing all these other things at the same time because nobody really has time for each other any longer to sit, have a conversation, play a game together. I mean, a physical game, cards or whatever, because you are interacting with each other then, right?
yeah. I like Twister, but I'm getting a bit frail for it. I keep falling over.
And it reminds me when I was a kid, I had my great grandmother again, always talking about her, and I had two grandmothers. Um, my grandfather from my dad, I was 2 years old. He died on my 2 year birthday, actually, so I don't remember him. But I had my other grandpa, right? And he was painting with me. We made all kinds of things. That was absolutely wonderful. So I was kind of, you could say, very grown up when I was a little child. Uh, but because I had time, they gave me of themselves, and I learned things, and we did things together. That's beautiful.
Yeah, one thing that I get angry about sometimes is that I'm no good with children because I never had a role model. Like dad was absent because he was always working, so I didn't get any parenting skills from him. And mum was just too violent to get close. So, like um, I'm still not sure what love is because I never saw it as a child. I cannot remember. I don't have a role model for love, so I've got to find my own definition of it. And this leads nicely into next week's show about um, it's the little things that count. It's by
Yeah,
okay. I've got some big actors in my life on my current journey of healing, which is the carnivore diet and my chlorine dioxide stuff. They're the big actors, and they're helping with my healing. But it's the little things. See, there's still this little annoying doubt that I still not do not love myself enough. And how can I do that? And I've found that I am loving myself more each day by just adding another little thing in my life that's nurturing to me or my spirit or my body. And so as I go on, I'm finding more and more little things that,
things that have meaning to you,
yeah, yeah.
that are a passion to you, right? That's beautiful.
But just silly things like, you know,
Mm.
getting into the routine of having my hot dip at 3 o'clock in the morning under the stars with the candles, or lighting an incense stick, or yeah, just laying in the sun, just adding more elements into my life from nature that are nurturing for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to sort of disclose all of the next show today. And once again, Anne, the time has flown, and I feel, uh, oh, I started off probably at about 10%. And I
Now you
reckon,
are full with energy. Good.
well, I reckon I'm about 60, 65, 70%. So thank you for assisting in raising my energy levels.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
because we are connecting and that brings energy, and we are also exchanging, we are building up the energy. That's beautiful,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah, I
it?
think, yeah, yeah. I'm just here. I just come here to throw my spices into the cake. Spices into the mix, and I think that's the way forward for all of us. We're all equal. We all have a story. Share your story. Someone will benefit from it, and
Absolutely.
the first person to benefit from it is you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you put it into words. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And you have
Right.
someone listening.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Anne. I don't think
Thank
I'll
you.
go. I don't think I'll race off into town and get a huge breakfast. I've got my men's group in 2 hours' time, so I'll just potter around in the garden and yeah, just play
And
with
that's
nature.
brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm just making the end of show announcements then. Okay? So
Okay,
we wrap this up. So
it's a
thank you
wrap.
everyone.
It's
Yeah,
a,
it's a wrap. Thank you
but not.
everyone. You have been watching Bob Eden and the Spiritual Mechanic Show with Bob and Anne talking about God is not stupid. And indeed, uh, he or it is not, right? Did you want to say anything before I continue?
I like chips in brown gravy,
Oh, wonderful.
and I got that from Spike Milligan. I don't know if you. He was a genius comedian. Yeah, who spent his whole life as a manic depressive, and he wrote a book with his psychiatrist. But he was an absolute genius. I was brought up on his sense of humour. 10 miles he swam. The last five were agony. They were over land. I love it. I love his humour. Innocent humour, which is something that's missing in our society today. It's,
Yeah, and humor where you're not afraid of sharing something from yourself, not to take things too seriously. Make
uh,
it, as you say, keep it simple, sovereign, right?
yeah, yeah. Until we meet again.
So, yeah, until we meet again. And next week's show on Wednesday 20th in US and Europe, and Thursday 21st in Australia, right? We're going to have a woman from Greece coming up, coming to us again, Elena the Greek, and we're going to talk about harmony in action, unveiling the essence of co-creation. Maybe you want to participate too, so you're always welcome, right?
Yeah, well, if you send me the link for the show, or is it the same link? If
No,
I'm
it's not the same. I'm
uh,
I'm going to send it to you.
yeah,
And
if I'm give me a
yes,
good
please,
reminder when it's on, so I can
yes,
yeah.
I will. I send you the all details. And next show with us, the wonderful Bobby and the Spiritual Mechanic show, is Friday, November 22nd in US and Europe, and Saturday, November 23rd in Australia, talking about it's the little things that count, right? So I say thank you for watching Bobby and the Spiritual Mechanic show, and see you soon. And I say love, life, peace, and joy. What do you say, Bob?
Intimacy is three words. Into me, see.
Oh, that's a good one. That's brilliant.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye.